What's up, guys? Welcome back to another UFC Fight Picks video on the UFC 227 card, Dillashaw versus Garbrandt 2. Let's go ahead and get started here with these Fight Pass prelims. So first fight of the night, we got Marlon Vera versus Luigi Burman. So it's a pretty easy fight for me to pick. I gotta take Marlon Vera here. First of all, this guy's a huge favorite, coming in at negative 550. Huge favorite right there. Biggest favorite on the card from what I see. Even he's even more of a bigger favorite than Demetrious Johnson. But I'll talk about that fight later. But yeah, Marlon Vera here should just be able to easily win this fight. More than likely, this guy's probably gonna win by decision. But I mean, with an opponent like Burman, a low-level opponent like Burman, there's even a chance here that Marlon Vera could finish the fight. Does have submission wins and he has knockout wins, so Vera could get a finish here in this fight. But I mean, I think more than likely Marlon Vera does get a decision win here. Let me see this guy. Yeah, his last fight he got he lost by decision his last fight against Orlando Dai. But yeah, this guy, I think this guy's a wrestler or something like that. Boxing, takedowns, and submissions. So his striking's not that great to beat Marlon Vera. I think you have to have, some good striking. Like in his last fight, he lost to Andrade. And I think before that, he lost to, I think, Lineker. I think so, actually. Let me just double check that real quick. But I know his last loss and last fight was to Douglas Silva de Andrade. Yeah, see, so John Lineker, he just beat him up. Pretty much if Vera can't out-wrestle you or out-strike you, he's going to lose. And I think he's gonna be able to outstrike Byrd here on the feet. And yeah, he should just be able to. He should just be able to win just like that. But I mean, his opponent, like I said, is pretty low level, so there's a chance he can get a finish. But I'm gonna go ahead and just say Marlon Vera by decision, and I think that's a very safe pick too. Moving on to the next fight, Daniel Taylor versus Weili Zhang. So I'm going to take Weili Zhang here in this matchup. First of all, Daniel Taylor just isn't that great, and she's very low volume. And she's just, getting those split decision wins, whatever. She's not that great. Her opponent here is making her UFC debut, and she's pretty damn good. Pretty good favorite here over Taylor, negative 270. 16-1 record, lots of wins by knockout and by submission. She's pretty well rounded, so I just don't see how Taylor here will be able to win the fight. Taylor just makes fights very boring, but I think the way to beat her is just to kind of out-volume her, and I think Weili Zhang will be able to do that. She looks like I said, like a pretty good prospect here. 16-1 record. Taylor just isn't that great, so it's an easy fight, to pick against Taylor. So I'm going to go ahead and take Zhang, and she's the finisher. But Taylor looks pretty tough, so you know what? It could be a decision win here for Zhang. But you never know, she could get the finish. But then again, it is strawweight, so I'm going to go ahead and just say Zhang by decision. But I wouldn't be too shocked if she gets a finish somehow, since she is a finisher. All right, so moving on to the next featured fight on the Fight Pass prelims. We got Alex Perez versus Jose Torres. So I'm going to take Alex Perez here in this matchup. So the reason I'm taking Perez is, first of all, he's pretty well rounded, good stand up, good submission game, really good wrestling. His opponent, Jose Torres, was getting beat up by his opponent, Jared Brooks, until Brooks kind of knocked himself out on a slam, I think it was. And this guy was able to win the fight. And Jose Torres looked pretty bad in that fight, but it was short notice. But still, though, I was not impressed. So, yeah, I really like Alex Perez here in this matchup. Like I said, this guy's been looking solid so far in the UFC. He's a slight favorite. I feel like he should be more of a favorite. Because like I said, Jose Torres just didn't really look good at all in his last fight. He looked pretty bad. So I expect Alex Perez here to use a similar game plan that Brooks was doing, except obviously not knock himself out with a slam or whatever. So I see Perez dominating the fight with his wrestling, and winning the fight. So I'm gonna go ahead and say Perez by decision. Alright, guys, moving on to the FX prelims. We got Matt Sales versus Sheymon Moraes. So I'm not too familiar with either of these guys, but both of them are strikers. Both of them come out to bang. Sheymon Moraes' UFC debut was against Zabit, so obviously he got starched against Zabit. but there's no shame in losing to Zabit. Obviously, Zabit's a very high level fighter. Matt Sales, he's coming from the Contender Series. He has a lot of power in his hands. Looks like a pretty good striker. And Moraes is also a very good striker. I think he's a kickboxing champion or multi-champion. So yeah, he's pretty good. So it's going to be a stand-up fight. And the fight here, the odds, I mean, it's pretty much a pick-em, pretty much an even fight. So I'm going to go ahead and just take Matt Sales here in this matchup. I just think he's going to be a little bit quicker than Shaman Moraes. So I'll go ahead and just take Matt Sales, but it is a close fight. So we could go either way. But I'll say Matt Sales. Both these guys are finishers. So you know what? Fuck it. I'll say Matt Sales by third round knockout. Alright guys, moving on to the next fight. We got Ricardo Ramos versus Kyung Ho Kang. So I'm going to go ahead and take Ramos in this matchup here. What fight was it where he looked pretty good? Yeah, and that's a hobby fight. He looked pretty solid. He got that third round knockout with an elbow. Yeah, this guy's pretty good. Reminds me of Charles Oliveira. Pretty good on the feet. Very good jiu-jitsu. Yeah, he's pretty solid. Kwan Ho Kang here. I think this guy was off for a while. But he got a win against, I forgot who it was. Against Guido Canetti. That guy's not really that great. So, yeah, I'm going to go to just take Ricardo Ramos. He's just, I believe, the better fighter. So I'm going to go ahead and say he gets a finish here. I'm going to say second round submission. Moving on to the next fight, we got Ricky Simon versus Montel Jackson. Another close fight here on the odds. Pick'em fight. But I like Montel Jackson here in this matchup, guys. Ricky Simon's a really great wrestler. But I feel like Montel Jackson has good takedown defense, has good wrestling himself, but is also a way better striker. So the striking here is going to win him the fight. And all he has to do is just stop the takedowns and just beat up Ricky Simon on the feet. So I'm going to go ahead and take Montel Jackson and say he wins. I'll say probably by decision. Moving on, guys, we got Pedro Munhoz versus Brett Johns here as the featured fight pass or featured FX fight. I was thinking about picking Brett Johns here in this matchup, but after looking at it a little bit more, I'm gonna go ahead and just take the favorite here, guys. Pedro Munhoz, negative 240 favorite. First of all, Munhoz is only losing to pretty much the high level guys. His last loss, I think it was to John Dodson. It was a close fight. He lost by, I think, split decision. I think some people thought he won that fight, I want to say. But, I mean, he had a takedown, and the strikes are very close. I remember it being a close fight. But either way, this guy's only losing to the top guys. Brett Johns just lost to Aljamain Sterling. He got out-wrestled and beat up on the ground. This guy, Pedro Munhoz, has a really good multi-striking, really good kicks. And also just an excellent submission game. So I feel like he's also the better striker here in this matchup. Since Brett Johns, he likes to wrestle. He likes to take his opponents down. But Pedro Munhoz has that submission game. He has that guillotine, which he's really good at. So, I mean, that kind of just tells me that Brett Johns is going to want to keep it on the feet. And I feel like his striking just isn't as good or as sharp as Pedro Munhoz. So I got to take Pedro Munhoz. I think he'll just be the better striker. I think the fight will be on the feet, and I think he'll win by decision. So that's going to be my pick for that fight. And now moving on to the main card, guys, to the pay-per-view, we got Thiago Santos versus Kevin Holland. So, yeah, I don't know why Santos is fighting this random-ass guy here pretty much. So, yeah, I'm just going to completely, pick against Kevin Holland here. I mean, I just got to take Thiago Santos, guys. Negative 360 favorite. Knockout artist. I mean, Santos just knocks everybody out. I mean, he just knocks everybody out. I mean, if he doesn't knock you out, then he's getting knocked out or finished. But against Kevin Holland, I mean, I'm just not too familiar at all with this guy. But I mean, yeah, I don't think he's gonna be able to beat Thiago Santos. So it's an easy fight for me to pick. So I'm gonna go and take Thiago Santos and say he probably wins by second round knockout. That's usually whenever he wins. Usually he wins first or second round knockout. So I'm gonna go and take Santos, second round KO. Alright, guys, moving on to the next fight. We got Viana versus JJ Aldrich. So Aldrich's a striker, taking the fence isn't that great, and her opponent, excellent submissions and really good takedowns. So I gotta pick Viana here in this matchup. She's also the favorite here, -160. Yeah, I feel like she's just gonna pretty much rely on her wrestling, use those takedowns, just be able to take JJ Aldrich down, and just kind of work her on the ground, maybe get a submission win. So I'll take Viana, and I'll go ahead and say third round submission. All right, guys, moving on now to the next fight. Let's see. Here we go. Swanson versus Renato Moicano. So I gotta take Moicano here in this matchup, guys. This guy's also a pretty big favorite, -350. He was a way bigger favorite before. I think he was up to like 410 or something like that. But anyways, Moicano has looked really good in the UFC. Besides his fight against Brian Ortega, but even then he actually looked really good in that fight. He just got caught in a submission because, well, he was kind of getting hit a lot, and he decided to go for a takedown on Ortega, and that's just a bad mistake. So, obviously he got tapped out against Ortega, but he was doing really well in that fight, and actually had him winning that fight against Ortega at that time. So yeah, Moicano's pretty good, guys, pretty solid. He's coming off a really good performance against Calvin Kattar, I think his name is, and I had Kattar winning that fight. So yeah, Moicano here, he's just been winning fights, and Swanson here has just not looked great. He's kind of just become kind of a gatekeeper nowadays. So yeah, man, I like Swanson's style, but I feel like Moicano here is just gonna be able to outpoint him, which is what he usually does. He has very good volume with his striking. He looked really good in his last fight, man. His striking looked really good. Obviously, Moicano has really good jiu-jitsu also. So yeah, he has no power, so he's obviously not gonna knock out Swanson, but he's more likely gonna win this fight by decision, or maybe even a submission win. Maybe Swanson is susceptible to getting tapped out, but I see more of this being a stand-up fight, and just Moicano just kind of outpointing him all day. So I'm gonna take Moicano here by decision, and that's another very safe pick. All right, guys, moving on to the co-main event. We got Demetrious Mighty Mouse Johnson versus Henry Cejudo. So I'm going to take the underdog here, guys. First of all, I picked Cejudo in that first matchup, and I was kind of mad, kind of shocked that he actually got finished with knees to the body, and he got finished, I think it was in the first round, like nothing. So yeah, I was kind of disappointed there in Cejudo's performance. I thought he got the takedown early in that fight, but just wasn't able to do anything with it. So obviously we know he could take Johnson down. Obviously he's the way better wrestler here in this matchup. His striking is also, I also think his striking is better. Believe it or not, he has looked really good with his striking. He knocked out Wilson Hayes. He has that karate type of style. Yeah, man, his striking has looked really good. Against Benavidez, I thought he won that fight, even though he lost the fight. But I thought he got robbed in that fight. But yeah, and also in his last fight against Sergio Perez, guy rising up the ranks. Cejudo was very smart, used that wrestling, and yeah, just won that fight like that. So yeah, Cejudo here has just been getting better and better. And Johnson, obviously, this guy's a beast. I mean, obviously, no one could beat him. He got 12 title defenses now, or 11 title defenses, whatever it is. But I feel like Cejudo was the guy to beat him, and I still think he's the guy to beat him. So I'm gonna take Cejudo here, guys. I think, like I said, I think he's for sure the better wrestler, obviously. And of course, I also think he's also the better striker here in this matchup. The clinch is the only position where I think Johnson is stronger. Obviously, as they shown in that last fight, where he need Cejudo to the body. But obviously Cejudo now obviously has learned from his mistakes, hopefully, and will probably stay away from the clinch. Stay on the outside, land some shots, get those takedowns, and just kind of beat up Johnson like that. Johnson here has to lose eventually, and this is a fight where Cejudo has looked really good. So, man, I got to take Cejudo here in this matchup. The odds, I mean, obviously Cejudo got finished last time, so the odds, I guess they kind of do make sense, but I feel like Cejudo should be more like maybe like plus I say plus 250 or something like that. So I think Cejudo has good value here. Obviously, I mean, Johnson's been winning, right? So everybody's picking Johnson, but I think Cejudo's gonna be able to get it done, guys. So I'm gonna go ahead and take Cejudo, and it's gonna be hard to knock out DJ, but I mean, he can get dropped. Cejudo has power in his hands. In that Wilson Hayes fight, I mean, he looked really good. So we can see something like that in this fight where he's keeping the distance, landing clean right hands, clean straight hands, a clean straight right or whatever, you know, and mix up the wrestling and stuff. So we know he has the power and stuff. So yeah. Anyways, I'm gonna pick Cejudo. But it is a flyweight fight, so you know what? I'm gonna go ahead and just say Cejudo by decision. But don't be shocked if this guy drops DJ or something like that. Alright, guys, so that's gonna be my pick, Cejudo by decision. Alright, so sorry about taking so long there on that fight, but yeah, I really like Cejudo in that matchup. So yeah, moving on here now to the main event here, guys. We got TJ Dillashaw versus Cody Garbrandt. According to the odds, we got Dillashaw as a slight favorite. Obviously, he did knock out Cody Garbrandt in the second round. So I gotta take TJ Dillashaw, guys. I'm pretty sure I picked him the first time they fought. And yeah, I mean, he got dropped in that first round, but you know, besides getting dropped, I mean, Cody didn't really do too much. The first round was close, and obviously Cody dropped him, so obviously Dillashaw lost that first round. But that round was close, not much happening. Second round, Dillashaw recovered, and he came out looking a lot better, landing his strikes, and yeah, he just figured Cody out. So I gotta think this is gonna be kind of a similar fight, except Cody's gonna be looking a little bit more improved here. But I still see Dillashaw just kind of beating him up, and eventually even knocking him out. So I gotta take TJ Dillashaw here in this matchup, and this time I got him winning. This time I think the fight will go another round or two longer. So I'm gonna go ahead and take TJ Dillashaw. I'm gonna say third round knockout this time, guys. So Dillashaw, third round knockout. All right, guys. So that does it here for the picks. Let me go ahead and give you guys my top 3 most confident picks. So obviously I gotta put Marlon Vera there. I mean, he should more than likely win this fight. More than likely by decision too. Next confident pick would have to be Thiago Santos. And finally, Renato Moicano. I think those are top 3 most confident picks. Very confident in those picks. And least confident pick would have to be, let's see who we got. Let's see. Least confident. Maybe Matt Sales. Maybe he gets knocked out by Perez. Perez got power. But it's a close fight, so I mean, this is kind of just, I guess, since it's a close fight, I gotta say Matt Sales here is kind of like my least confident pick. But obviously, he has a good shot of winning here in this fight. But yeah, that does it for my picks, guys. Thanks for watching. Let me know who you guys picked in the comments. Let me know what you guys think about my picks. Maybe I'm like hella wrong about a pick, but you know, I think so far, you know, these picks are pretty solid. On the last card, actually, I didn't do a video about it, but I think all my picks were on the money except for like one pick, except for what's his name, Anti-Gulov, I think, in the last UFC card last Saturday. So yeah, I'm getting better here with my picks. And yeah, hopefully I make some money again on DraftKings. And if you guys don't play DraftKings, the link's below in the description. You guys could check that out. But yeah, guys, enjoy the fights. And yeah, I'll catch you guys on the next video.